What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be talking once again about soil mix. Now soil mix is very important because this is the foundation of your garden. If things go wrong over here, no matter what you do, your plants are not going to grow quite well, or they are not going to be healthy, or let's say they are not going to flower, they are not going to put out new growth. Now it is very important to understand what is the right type of soil mix you need to have. Again, this depends upon your environment and climate, and it depends upon the type of plant you want to grow. As we have already spoken about this, different plants have different requirements of soil. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put the link in the description below. You can check it out because every plant has a very different type of soil mix. But over here, we are talking about majority of our house plants like philodendrons, monsteras, coleus, aglaonemas, caladiums. All of these require a similar type of soil mix. Majority of the plants are house plants. So a lot of times we tend to use the regular soil without any amendment. We just plant it because we think that it is soil, but that's completely incorrect. You cannot only use this soil for your plant. You have to use some kind of soil conditioner, which we are going to talk in some time. Now what happens when we tend to use this kind of soil? Over the period of time, it starts getting compact like this. As you can see, it will get compact like this, and any plant that is going to grow in this will not survive for very long, or it will start growing very unhealthy because this soil is going to make the root area very compact. The roots are going to get suffocated. They won't be able to absorb any moisture from the soil or any nutrients, and eventually the plant will start to die. So you have to be extremely careful. So this soil has to be conditioned, and in order to condition we require these two ingredients. So this is the soil. We need coco peat and we need our sand. So coco peat is one of the best soil conditioner. Then we have sand. Coco peat is going to retain slight amount of moisture, and sand is going to make the soil mix well draining. And when you mix all of them, this is how the soil is going to look like. You can see it is very loose, porous, well draining, and also you can see there is a major difference in color because when a soil starts to get organic rich, the color tends to get darker. So now we will do the water test method, and I'm going to show you how the soil is going to be well draining. Let's start off with this one. I'll add some water to it. We'll water it completely. And as you can see, the water has started to pool into the pot. The water is not draining out. It is kind of stagnant in the pot. It will eventually drain out, but this is not a very ideal practice. You can see the water has not drained out yet. It is still in the pot. Now imagine if you have your plants outdoor and it is raining. Every time it rains, the water is going to get collected like this, and it is not going to pass through the drain hole, which means that your plant roots will definitely get rotted because this is equivalent to overwatering. The water does not drain out, it stays in the pot. The water collected will lead to root rot and the plant will eventually die. So you have to be extremely careful. You cannot afford to have a soil that tends to retain water like this. Now the water has started to drain out, but it is in a very slow form. You can see it still retains a lot of water. There is still water pooled in the pot. It is not draining out immediately. We need a soil mix that tends to push out all the excess water and that does not let the water stay in the pot like this. Now I will let the soil dry and I'm going to show it to you. You can see the soil is dried, but it has a lot of cracks because this soil is very high in clay content. That's why you can see it has started to crack. Another interesting thing I want to show, I will try to loosen the edges, and you can see the soil is very compact. It is leaving a gap in the sides. Now what's going to happen over here? This is a process called as false watering. So what happens over here when you tend to water your plant or your pot, the water will immediately escape through those edges or through those crevices that have been created. Now over here it gives you an impression when you tend to water. We ideally say that the water should pass through the drain hole easily, but over here it will give you an impression that the soil is well draining, but in actual you are doing false watering. So all the water is going to escape through those crevices and that water is not going to reach to the roots. The plant will not be able to absorb any of that moisture or any of that nutrients. Everything is going to get wasted because it is going to escape through those edges. Now if I'm going to turn the pot around, you can see how compact the soil is. It's almost like a piece of cake. Now in this, none of your plants are going to do quite well. Now I will give you the example of my potting mix, which is a mix of coco peat, sand and garden soil. This is the type of mix that I use for all of my plants, and once it's mixed, this is how it tends to look like. So we will quickly do the water test by adding in some water. Now of course this soil is completely bone dry, so it will take some time for the water to soak in, but you can already see the results. Even a little bit of water, it's immediately absorbed into the soil and it starts reaching out to the base of the pot. So I'm going to water a little bit more. The soil is completely dry, that's why it's taking a little bit of while, but you can see none of the water is on the surface. It's all absorbed into the soil. Now of course the water has not passed through the drain hole, so I'm going to add a little bit more of water, and we need to wait until the water passes through the drain hole. And there we go, the water has passed through the drain hole. This is an indication that we have done a complete watering, and this is how all of my plants have the same type of soil mix. Now if I'm going to lift it up, you can see how quickly the water starts to run through the drain hole. This is called as a complete watering, and this is how you need to water your plants. You have to water until the water starts passing through the drain hole, and you can see how well and free flowing the soil is. And you can also see all of the water has drained out, leaving the soil moist. This is more than enough for our plants to absorb that moisture. All the excess water has drained out, just leaving the soil moist, which is enough for our plants to absorb that moisture, or if you're adding any kind of nutrients, the roots will be able to absorb all of it. Now I'm going to show you the same mix. You can see how loose it is even after it has the second day of watering. You can see there is slight amount of moisture, but the soil is not compact. It is very loose, it is very soft, and in this kind of potting mix the roots can navigate and grow very healthy because they will be able to absorb that moisture and water. Whereas our previous soil, that is the only soil mix, you can see how hard it is. It has become very compact, whereas our potting mix, which is a mix of coco peat, garden soil and sand, is very loose, porous and is very soft. This is going to be very good for the plant roots to grow in it because the soil is not compact. So ensure whenever you are making a potting mix, mix a good amount of coco peat and garden soil. Again, coco peat depends upon the environment and climate. If you are from a very humid environment, reduce the amount of coco peat. If you are from a very dry environment, increase the amount of coco peat. So that's about it, guys. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe and keep planting.